Good day. Today we're going to talk a little bit further about instructional design. Instructional design, what is it? One of the biggest problems faced by students is that they don't understand the concept of instructional design. So I'm going to begin by talking about design per se. I'm talking about designing a house. Let's talk about designing a house. If you're designing a house, what are the things you put in the design? Sorry. If you're designing a house, you're going to put a roof, don't you? You have to put doors. You have to put windows. You have to put flooring. You have to put walls. All of these are parts of the design of the house. Isn't that right? So when you design the house, if you go to an architect who designs a house, he will talk to you, he'll ask you, what kind of doors do you want? What kind of windows do you want? Because all of these things make up the design of a house. Let us suppose that you're designing a garment, maybe a dress, maybe a suit. Doesn't the tailor or the seamstress ask you questions like, what kind of sleeves do you want? How long do you want it? What's the size of your waist? Because all of these things make up the design for the particular garment that you're making. So that everything that you design normally have what? Features. Features that you put in that thing to make it what it is. In fact, if you don't have features, the thing will not be anything at all. Everything has features. If you're talking about a desk has a height, a desk has a length, a desk has a width, a desk has drawers in it. It has all of these different things to make it a desk. If we take that, for example, and we were to apply that knowledge to instructional design, then instructional design must have features, just as the desk has features, and the house has features, and your clothing has features that you want to put to make it appear a certain way, then instruction must have features too. But you see, instruction is a little bit more abstract than a house or a car or a building or something like that. If you're designing instruction, what are the things you need to put in the instruction to make sure that the instruction will be instruction? And just as if you're designing a good meal, what are the things you will need to put in that meal, you know, to make sure that the meal is a good meal? So when we design instruction, can you think about anything that you put in that instruction? Yeah, you're right. One of the first things you think about, all instruction must have content. So in instructional design, you must have content. Instructional design, you must have what? Objectives, where you're going. You must say where you're going. What do you want the students to be able to do? Instructional design has objectives. You know, something that is normally forgotten in instructional design, you normally must have context. What is context? Context are the different variables, or let's say pieces of information about your instruction that will help you design good instruction. We're talking about things like the audience. Who make up your audience? We're talking about things like the environment. Sorry. The environment is about where are you going to teach the class? Can these things be important? Of course, they can be important. Of course, these things can affect your instruction. Therefore, you want to know your students, their age, their background, their characteristics. All of that is what we call the context of the design. You know, the environment where you're going to teach them. Is it in a classroom? Is it on a hillside? Is it on a seaside? You know, where you're going to teach them. That's what we call context analysis. So design has instructional design has context, instructional design has content, instructional design has objectives. Instructional design has something we call strategies. That is, how are you going to move the student from one point to another and help them to understand? That's called strategies. All of these things you have to put in there. There are many other things instructional design has. Instructional design has assessment. And I'm not mentioning all of them, but I'm just letting you know that as we do instructional design, we will have to make decisions about content, context. We have to make decisions about the objectives, the strategies, how we are going to teach them, the assessment, how we're going to know that the students have learned. Another important one is the instructional problem. You don't normally hear of it, but the problem really, instructional problem is really the starting point. That is, What problem am I trying to solve? What is it that these students do not know that I would like them to know? And instructional problems, one of the first things you specify that these students in standard 4, form 3, or grade 8, they do not know how to do double digit multiplication because they never even learned to do single digit multiplication. And at the end of the class, they will be able to do double digit multiplication. That's a simple description of an educational problem or an instructional problem that exists. And because they can't do double digit multiplication, you are going to try to help them to be able to do it. And that forms the basis, the focus of your instructional design. So you take care as we move on to the next lesson, which will be context analysis.